All right, so good day for the Knicks, bad day for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Stephen A. sounded off on social media. He tweeted this. This is a disgraceful late-game show of effort by the Cavs. Hate to say it because I'm a Knicks fan, but it's just the truth. When you see this franchise quit like they just did, it needs someone who cares a bit more, someone proudly accountable to Cleveland. Yes, I'm saying it. They need LeBron James to return home to save the day if this group is ever going to bring a title back to Cleveland. Seriously. The loudest I've been all day long. Doggy, if the Cavs get swept, and they could potentially tonight, should they go all in on bringing the king back to Cleveland?
No, absolutely not. And I don't think he'd go back anyway. Why would you go back to a place where you've already won a championship, the great championship that they've ever had after the 64 Browns? Why would you run back there and go and do that again? You got nothing to gain. And if you don't win a championship, you're gonna put a blemish on a championship you did win because you're gonna be the lasting memory of the Cavs fan as well. We brought LeBron back, we didn't win. You don't want that. Why would LeBron want that? That's the dumbest thing in the world. Why would you go back to a place where you've won and you've gone somewhere else and won, then go back and try to win again? You've already done that. Why decide to go back and do it again? I don't know. I wouldn't do that under any circumstances. I'm surprised Stevie's take on that. And I'll let him fight me off in a minute. Same with Windy. And I also don't buy the idea that all of a sudden the Cavs, lay down like dogs there in Game 3. Let's take it easy. I mean, the Knicks made every shot. Cavs were demoralized after Game 1. You knew they were in big trouble. They played fairly decently in Game 2. They're human. I'm not going to go too crazy because, in the fourth quarter, they were down 17, 18 points. They lost a sort of a very comfortable 12-point. I didn't get that impression that they quit. So from that standpoint, I disagree with them both on those takes. LeBron's never going back to Cleveland. That's not happening. And I don't think that the Cavs, you can kill them for the outcome of what the final score was in Game 3.
I mean, the last 2 minutes, though, they were just kind of looking at the basket.
Is it that big? So were the Lakers in Game 1 against the Celtics in a Memorial Day massacre and lost by 100 points back in '85. I mean, it happens. These guys are they're players. The game is over. I can't get crazy about it.
Windy, should the Cavs go all in on LeBron?
Okay, what Stephen A. and Mad Dog are talking about are vibes answers. And I'm not saying the vibes is wrong, but I think I just want to bring a little bit of analysis because this applies not just to a Cavs concept, but if they're the Warriors or the Heat or whomever else has some dream of getting LeBron this summer, I think you have to understand the four corners of what's going on. These teams like Cleveland or Golden State or somebody else, they don't have cap space to give LeBron real money, okay? This is not like Aaron Rodgers where he can wait 6 months and then the Steelers can still sign him for $25 million. That's not how it works. First, LeBron has got to decide, does he want to keep playing? Okay, let's say he does. Now, does he want to keep playing for the Lakers? Let's say he does. Can the Lakers and LeBron work out an arrangement? Let's say they can't. We've already gone through 3 big, giant questions there, okay? How much money is LeBron willing to play for? I am not going to spend the gentleman's money and just make an assumption that the Cavs can sign him for $3 million because, guys, that's what the minimum is. LeBron's making $50 million this year. If he were to sign with the Cavs next year, they got $3 million. That's what they're allowed to pay him, okay? 3. That's a 90% pay cut. I just don't think he's doing. Now, if he comes out and says, Brian, don't go in my head. You don't know what you're talking about. I will sign for that. If he says that, then I'm prepared to have a conversation. But when you say all in, Stephen A., it means trading off potentially 3 players. Because even if they worked out a deal with the Lakers, even if the Lakers said, look, LeBron, you want to go to Cleveland? We'll work out a sign and trade. The Cavs aren't even allowed to do sign and trades. So they would have to trade off multiple pieces just to trade another piece for LeBron. So it's very hard to have this argument unless you have an idea of what LeBron's willing to do. And I know that that's not fun. It's more fun to say, go get LeBron James. But it's hard for me to frame it right now, to be honest.
Sometimes. And put Doggy and Wendy up on the screen, please. I want to see them when I'm saying this stuff. Sometimes we make things far more complicated than it needs to be. Wendy, I appreciate your analysis. You cover the NBA better than practically everybody. You do a great job. You know that's not what I'm talking about. Doggy, pay attention. I did not say LeBron James should go to Cleveland. I said Cleveland should want LeBron James. That is what I said. And look at the words that I used on the tweet. I talked about somebody who loves Cleveland, somebody who the people would believe would be accountable to them because he loves them that much. That's what I'm alluding to. Look at my words. You see, need someone who cares a bit more, someone proudly accountable to Cleveland. That's what I was talking about. Who better than your own that grew up 30 minutes away, that came back from South Beach just to deliver a championship and erase a 52-year drought in any sport for the entire series and the entire Northeast Ohio area. I'm talking about that guy. And what I'm saying to you is this. Of course, the contenders like Cleveland don't have the money to pay LeBron James the 50+ million. Didn't we hear, Wendy, folks talking about how, you know what, at this point in time, even though he's not the kind of person that you ever imagine taking less, he certainly doesn't deserve less, etc. He's a billionaire, and really, it's about so much more than that. Well, let's take into account and look at LeBron James' career. He's a Los Angeles Laker. You know what we hear all the time? Yeah, he's great. You hear it from me and others about he's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. You know what you also hear, fellas? He ain't Magic. He ain't Kobe. He ain't Kareem. He's not worthy. He's not these people. That's what they say, okay? You're right. You'll never hear that in Cleveland. He is Cleveland. You talk about a dude that's got 4 championships. He's in the Western Conference. A 5th ain't coming. You seen OKC. We watching them in San Antonio right now. How about Minnesota? How about Denver? How about Houston once Fred VanVleet comes back? Lakers ain't winning. But if you went back to the East, and let's just say, for example, you got your billions. And Wendy, don't get me started on the money he could make off the court, not just because of the global iconic figure that he is, but also, I'm quite sure the Cleveland area would come up with a way to make sure some money was in his pocket, additional dollars. Oh, trust me, he'd get every advertisement he wanted, okay? Then you're in the Eastern Conference. You don't have to move Mobley. You don't have to move Allen. You don't have to move Donovan Mitchell. You probably wouldn't have to move James Harden or anything like that. And you join that squad in the Eastern Conference for a swan song that you don't want to end in April. You want to make a run for a 5th ring that could potentially tie Kobe and Duncan and eclipse the 4 that Steph Curry has. Who knows? I'm saying if you're Cleveland, that's what you want. I didn't say that LeBron should necessarily want that. LeBron has earned the right to do what the hell he wants to do. He's one of the greatest ever, and he's won in 3 separate locations. We can't tell him anything. But if you're Cleveland and you're in the mood to beg, and grovel, all right, this would be a direction that you could go in and a tactic that you should use to sell him on end it at home. Because we love you. We've deified you. You are everything to us. And all of this speculation and the things that they say about you and how they try to downplay what you've done, blah. You don't have to worry about that here. Yes, that could potentially be a cry that they could, or a plea that they could throw in LeBron James' direction. That's all I was saying. Not that LeBron should necessarily do it, but that they should desperately want him to.
But a lot of it makes sense. If you look at their core players, the one thing that they don't have, I mean, nothing against Dean Wade and Max Strus. They've had good moments in the playoffs, but obviously a 3-man. LeBron's, probably the best small forward ever. It does.
How about
fit.
leadership?
And if any team, without question, and he could take off many games in the regular season, and any team in professional basketball who could add LeBron James on a discount, even if they did some maneuver to get him more than the minimum and were able to get him a little bit more, anything less, he's still a $50 million player. Even if they got him for $25 million, it would be a credible discount for his talent. There's no doubt they could have it. I'm just saying, I am seeing people lay out scenarios for LeBron that make an assumption that money is nothing. He's probably got to take a pay cut because I don't think the Lakers are paying him $50 million again. We can debate about whether that should happen, about the respect level and how they're going to have their own problems replacing him if he moves on. But I don't think the Lakers are going to pay him again. He's going to have to take a pay cut.
He doesn't
I'm
deserve
not
a
going
pay
to spend
cut.
his money. I'm just saying. I see people laying out scenarios out there, just making assumptions when it's much more complicated than, oh, he'll just resign. He'll just sign somewhere.
Wendy, can I ask a question?
But it's not a matter of the complication. It's not a matter of the complication. I mean, we understand what teams can't do financially, but we also know that he's in a financial situation to be able to do what he wants because